You cannot look at photos like these and not just melt, not just smile from ear to ear. Newborn photos are such a sweet way to capture the teeniest little detail and the pure innocence of those sweet babies. And if you've ever wondered how photographers get those perfectly posed shots, photographer Lufkin says there are some tricks of the trade. We could just sit and look at your beautiful photos of those beautiful babies. What a fun job you have.
I do. It's really awesome.
What do you love most about photographing newborns?
Honestly, at this stage in my life, I'm done having babies. And so I get my baby fix. I get to snuggle and smell them and get pooped on.
All of it, you know? That's way fun when you're on the outside. But you can almost smell them through the screen. Yeah. Your shots are beautiful. You capture it so well. I want to talk about posing. I think that's where it gets a little tricky. Obviously, the babies are super sleepy. What's the ideal window to photograph a newborn? You have a limited time.
You do. We typically try and get them in between 1 and 2 weeks.
Okay.
You can go up to 3 weeks. I've even done 6 weeks. But that 1 to 2 weeks is when you get there really snuggly, where you can roll them into a ball and they sleep fairly deeply.
You want them to, because they change so fast. You want to capture those moments. Yeah. One of your favorite poses, I know, is using a prop of just a bowl, a simple bowl.
Yeah, it is the easiest and the safest. Your baby can be awake, they can be asleep, and they just pose so well in a bowl, if you get the right size.
I was going to ask about sizing. Do you want some headroom so you can add the fluff from the blankets and the trimmings, or do you want them cuddled in there pretty tight?
It kind of depends on what other props you're using with it. Like if you're using a fur, like the one you're seeing, you're going to need a little extra room. But if I use a lot of scarves, actually, in my posing.
To fill in those gaps. And is it just teeny tiny babies that this prop works for, or can you use these with older babies as well?
Depending on the size. I typically do a bigger bowl for like a 6-month-old or a 1-year-old. You know those 1-year-olds, they're running around like crazy in the studio. So if you stick them in a bowl, they'll sit for just long enough to get those pictures.
These are so precious, so precious. You mentioned the fur, and I know designers and photographers alike love the textures that can come, that you can bring into your photographs and bring into your design, so to speak. So how do you place the fur so it doesn't detract from the sweet faces?
So I use it in 2 ways. Sometimes I'll put it under the bowl as
kind of a
like a blanket.
A placemat, a blanket.
Right, it kind of grounds your bowl so it's not just this random bowl floating around. And sometimes I just put the fur in the bowl, completely cover it, so you don't even see the bowl. But it gives that shape of the curliness for a baby to fit right in there.
I like the wispies, right, that are just surrounding their sweet little skin. It's really angelic, isn't it? To see that just kind of cradled around their silhouette and around their sweet faces. What about that head and hands pose? That's really popular. Are you a fan of that?
It is. So in a bowl, when they're just laying on their hands, I love that. It is a very tricky and complicated pose to get. When they're up on their hands, it has to be done as a composite. Like
what do you mean by that, composite?
A composite is when you take 2 images in Photoshop. So the first image, a parent or a assistant will hold the hand. The next time they'll hold the head, and then you composite them. So a beginner should not even be attempting what we call froggy.
Too complicated, yeah, But just the simple, like, delicate, laying on the hands that you described first.
Also done with, it is, but not without an assistant. You've got to keep those babies safe. And so having an assistant right there, holding the head and quickly taking your hands off, you have to have someone there.
Absolutely, safety first for sure. Well, I know as a photographer you love to inspire other moms with a camera to capture shots in their own home as well. And the secret really, as we've discussed, is in the props. You're going to show us how to assemble, make one of your favorite props for these shoots, right?
Yeah.
Let's head on over. What are we making?
So we're going to make a weaved basket.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead.
All right. And they're so simple and beautiful. Like, I almost feel silly being here because it's so simple to make.
Well, they don't look simple. They have the structure, the size alone. Tell me, what are you starting with from an ingredient list?
Okay, so
supply list.
First, I got my pattern from Craft Passion.
Okay.
And on her website, when you download the pattern, it's really itty bitty, and then you blow it up. I have a friend that did it on her computer and like taped 9 pieces of paper together, and it was too intense for me. Like, I just could not, I'm not techie enough, apparently.
Zip it to the copy center.
So I went to the copy center. $3 later, here I have my pattern for the small bowl.
And this is what we're making.
Yes, so this is the small one, and this is the large, and you can do medium. So when you take your pattern, to the copy center, or if you're smart enough to do it at home. This one was about 27 inches.
Okay.
And I decided it works, but for a beginner, it might be a little small and hard to fill.
So go big.
So I went big. I added a couple of inches, and it became 32 inches across, 31.
Okay.
It's a little too big for a newborn. Awesome for, like we talked about, those sitters, the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old. This would be great for that.
Okay.
A medium, about a 30-inch, would probably be
a good size.
Great.
Your base is cardboard, so that's easy enough. Just an Amazon box or whatever you have lying around. What sort of fiber are you using to wrap it up?
That's the thing I love about this the most. You can use anything. So it takes about a skein of yarn, a little bit less than that.
Okay.
It takes about 2 things of twine.
Oh yeah, the jute spun.
Jute, yeah.
That thicker rope.
Kind of gives that natural look that we all like.
Yeah, speaking to the texture that we were talking about earlier, the yarn, the softness, or you know, the roughness even of the jute or the twine. That's a fun look as well. And you just start winding?
You do, yeah. So after you cut it out, we have a pattern right there.
Right here? Oh.
Yep, if you can hold that up.
Okay.
It's humongous.
It is big.
So you take this, and I just scored along with my razor blade to get them to start standing up.
Fold it up, okay.
And then you just take it and weave it in and out. So we're on the outside right now, so we're gonna go on the inside and then the outside.
One of those mindless projects where you can put on your favorite movie and just sit there and wrap to your heart's content. How do you finish it off at the top once you're all the way around?
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways you can finish it.
Okay.
There's this one, and I just took my crochet hook and crocheted a long chain.
Okay.
And so I did 2 loops around the bottom, 2 loops around the top, 2 loops in the middle.
Okay.
And glue gunned it on.
Got it. And the second way?
Super simple. The second way is this way, where I still did my line of chain just to give it a definition.
Right.
And then I just wound it around. And I took these clips, these clamps, and put them in, and then wound it under.
To hold it in place.
Right.
All right.
And I wanted to show you with this one, it takes longer than you expect.
Okay. So plan.
Plan. And it takes more than you expect. So I did not get it all the way, and I was going to fix it, and then I thought, you know what, people might want to.
I wouldn't have even noticed, but use more than you think to cover up.
To cover it up.
Spacing.
I tried glue gunning it. You want it looser on the inside as well. The outside you want tight, the inside you want loose.
What a fun prop to add to your photo collection. Like I mentioned, you're always wanting to inspire other moms out there with a camera. Where can we see more of your work?
You can go, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I also teach how to make props on YouTube. Props by yours truly.
Props by yours truly. We'll link you over from our website. So fun to have you. Violet, thank you so much. Thanks for letting us just melt over your cute photos. That was fun too.